Hello Eagles Nation, Vincent Foast here, and welcome to a Week 18 Eagles Chat, where here at Eagles Chat we get down right to the news you want to hear on your birds. But before we get into it, make sure you like and subscribe to the Eagles Chat YouTube channel, as well as following us on Instagram at Chat Eagles, where you can find daily updates on your birds, and you can also find our Instagram in the description of this video. But now let's get right into it, and yes, it's always nice to see the Birds beat up on the Giants, and today was a big win, not just because it was the Eagles' 14th win of the season, but also because it was Jeffrey Lurie's 300th win as chairman and CEO of the Philadelphia Eagles. So definitely an impressive milestone for Jeffrey Lurie, especially since, he's owned the Eagles since the 1990s, so that's definitely a big-time milestone. Congratulations to him, and it's definitely great to do it up against a NFC East rival like this, as we send the New York Giants back up crying to North Jersey. Of course, I said North Jersey because you go and try to find me a football stadium in New York City, it doesn't exist. And it's the same thing as the New York Giants trying to find W's. They don't exist either. So it definitely, let's just say, those two things fit well with that franchise. At least I finally found two things that fit well with the New York Giants, because I definitely can tell you one thing, W's are not one of them. But now, let's get right into this Eagles Chat even more. And yes, we're obviously going to start with the big news, as it is confirmed. The Eagles will be going up against the Green Bay Packers for their wild card game that will be held at the Link. Now, we're still waiting to see what time that will be, but it is confirmed on the matchup. Now, there's a lot of news coming out about the Green Bay Packers quarterback being Jordan Love. Now, there was an injury today with his elbow. We're going to continue to monitor that very, very closely as the rest of the week continues. Now, news did come out from the Packers saying we were just keeping him out as for precaution. He will be ready to play against the Eagles next game, being the wild card game. So the Green Bay Packers say that Jordan Love will be ready to play. We're going to continue to watch that very, very closely. Now, another injury for Green Bay, a big-time receiver of theirs, Christian Watson, another one. That's another big-time player for the Green Bay Packers. He was injured today with a knee, so that didn't look too good at all. We'll continue to monitor that very, very closely to see updates, to know really what type of Green Bay team the Eagles will be going up against next game. So we're going to continue to monitor that very, very closely. We'll make sure we have updates both on the injuries for the Birds that happened in previous weeks and injuries on the Green Bay Packers. We'll make sure to keep you guys updated so you really know what your Birds will be facing come this wild card game. And yes, as I said, we're focusing on injuries for the Birds. This one comes up right here, Jalen Hurts. And news came out this morning that Jalen Hurts should be ready and cleared to play for the wild card game. He was seen walking around with the team and ready to go on Saturday. So that's definitely something very, very nice to see. Obviously, they didn't play him today because they didn't want any injuries to happen. They only played a few starters today, which, I mean, obviously, as you saw, the majority of the starters were out. So we're going to continue to monitor this very, very closely as well. But as of right now, and it should stay like this, I don't see why it should change, Jalen Hurts will indeed be ready to go for the wild card game against the Green Bay Packers. So that is always wonderful news to see. But now let's start getting into our contributors for today's win. So yes, the Eagles didn't play their starters. They played their backups, and they also played their backups. And pretty soon I felt like they were going to start going to the stands and offering out waivers to any Eagles fan who wanted to play and destroy the Giants, as, the team that the Eagles fans love was running over the Giants. So let's just start bringing in the fans, as we were going deep into our backups 100%, as we were giving everyone an opportunity to play today. But let's go over Tanner McKee's performance. So Tanner McKee, not too bad, providing the type of players he was playing with, the type of offensive line that he was playing with. Yeah, he had no starters whatsoever, and that offensive line, let's just say this, was having some trouble holding back the Giants' defensive line. But let's go over Tanner McKee's numbers. 27 out of 41 for his passing. He had 269 yards, which is not bad at all, and 2 touchdowns. So, again, providing what he was playing with out there, he had a pretty dang good game, especially seeing last week when he played with the starters and only had, so many throws, and as well as he played last week to as well as he played this week with the whole game, with the guys he had out in the field, I'd say this was a pretty good game by Tanner McKee. And, he didn't play that bad at all. 2 touchdowns again, and both of those touchdowns were to guys who did indeed get their first touchdowns, as Ainias Smith was one of them. We're going to go over all of our contributors right here. Here are my three main offensive contributors for today's game. And let's first obviously start off with Jahan Dotson. Before I get to Ainias Smith, I want to start off with Dotson. 7 receptions for 94 yards. He was all over the place. Great to see him do well, as even when I was watching him in preseason, definitely was happy on what I saw. Excuse me, not in preseason, but what I've seen from him in the past. I definitely liked what I saw, and I'm glad to see him doing as well as he did this game, as he was a big piece of why the Eagles were able to get down the field in the fashion that they did. Next one we're going to be covering here is Ainias Smith. Yes, he got his first touchdown today, so definitely great to see that, as well with another guy being E.J. Jenkins, who got his first NFL catch, but also got his first NFL touchdown. So yes, when I said Tanner McKee was giving the ball to guys to get their first touchdowns, yeah, both his touchdowns were to two guys who got their first. So definitely a great sight to see. Congratulations to both of them, as games like this really give opportunities for other guys to really show what they're about. Another guy I don't have up here, but someone that I really need to, let's just say, make their presence known, is Will Shipley, who I think also had a very good game. In my opinion, I know Barkley's RB1 and Gainwell is RB2, but in my opinion, I really, during maybe next year, during the regular season, I would really want to see more of Shipley in general, just within the regular season, whether you take out Gainwell for a little bit and take out Barkley for a little bit and have Shipley come in there. I think Shipley is someone who has good talent. I think he's got good strength, and he picks the right gaps to run in. I think he is a very smart running back, and I think he is someone that really should get more opportunities moving down the stretch. Obviously, you're going into the playoffs right now, so you're going to be using Barkley and Gainwell 100% more, but I really would like to see more out of Shipley next season, especially in the regular season. Don't just use him in the preseason and forget about him. I really think you have another great running back right there. And the Eagles, in my opinion, are completely loaded with running back talent. And Will Shipley is just another example on why I think their running back room runs as deep as it does. So really have to mention Will Shipley's name, as I think he had an incredible game as well. But now let's move into our defensive contributors. So yes, the Eagles defense did stand up when needed to. And yes, obviously I know the Giants helped the defense out. What I mean by that is every time it seemed like the Giants would start getting something going, they'd shoot themselves in the foot, either getting a false start penalty, a neutral zone infraction. We saw plenty of those where the Eagles made the Giants fall for the same trick over and over, where they faked the tush push and made the Giants player jump. They faked another 4th and 2 play. They made the Giants player jump, as well with a neutral zone infraction where the guy was clearly over the line of scrimmage. Yeah, again, every time the Giants looked like they had an opportunity to be somewhat dangerous, or quote dangerous, they would find a way to basically shoot themselves in the foot and mess it up 100%. So, yeah, definitely not going to ignore that. They had some help by the Giants, but the defense did step up when needed to. Some guys that I really got to highlight here. Here are our main 3 guys that I cannot forget about and definitely have to highlight. One, we have Oren Burks, who had 17 tackles, so definitely had one heck of a game right there. Kelly Ringo, who was doing very well both on defense and special teams in general, made a couple of big plays, so definitely got to shout out to Kelly Ringo right there. And another one, which is definitely a familiar name, that's been around for a little while here in the Delaware Valley, and that is Jeremiah Trotter Jr. Of course, everyone knows his dad, Jeremiah Trotter, who was playing in the NFL before him. He was one heck of a player, and Jeremiah Trotter Jr. definitely had one heck of a game. Want to see a lot more from him, hopefully down the line into next season. Hopefully we'll be seeing more of his face in the future. But in today's game, we got to see a lot of the guys that we may potentially be seeing further down the line. So definitely good to see the young talent and the guys who are, let's just say, the second and third stringers that may actually have a good opportunity at being a starter one day. It's definitely good to see that type of talent really shine, and I definitely think they did a great job of getting them, picking up their 14th win of the season. So they definitely didn't come up wrong at all. So got to really shout out then. Tristan McCullum, another one who did another great job as well. So the Eagles defense stepped up when necessary, and Sidney Brown got an interception as well. So Great job by this Eagles defense. They showed up when necessary. Yes, they got a little bit of help from the New York Giants. Not going to ignore that, right? But they did perform when necessary, and they stepped up. They adjusted as the game went on. And, hey, Vic Fangio, even though he didn't have his starters in, he still put on one heck of a show for the people in green at Lincoln Financial Field. Always a great sight to see. But that's really it. I have to finalize with this as Jake Elliott, again, misses another field goal. Today, he missed a 39-yard field goal. So, yes, things are getting a little concerning with Jake Elliott, especially as you get into the playoffs where, of course, that scenario enters every single person's head where, what if we come down to a clutch situation where a field goal is the thing that wins it? Yeah. That's where a lot of people are a little concerned. I understand, again, I get it. It was windy today, and knowing Lincoln Financial Field, it has the grooves, the slots in it where wind tunnels can be created. But the way I looked at Elliott when he kicked that ball, it didn't look like he adjusted his kick in any way, shape, or form, adjusted to the way the wind was blowing. He looked like he just kicked it straight up in the wind, or whatever you want to call it. Either it curved or the wind curved it. Either way, yeah, it didn't look like he adjusted his kick for the type of environment he was in, whether it was the wind that carried it or he just kicked it offline. So, yeah, that's a little concerning. Elliott definitely needed the practice today, but it is definitely still concerning on Jake Elliott's ability to kick in clutch situations. That definitely entered the back of my mind as well, where what if the Eagles enter that type of situation where the field goal's their season's on the line. If they don't make the field goal, they lose. That's the type of scenario that entered my head. And yeah, I'm still a little nervous about that, but I'm confident. Let's have confidence in our man that number 4 will come up big in the big time moment. But that's all I really got to say for the final regular season Eagles chat of the season. And again, we'll see what the Eagles can do next game against the Green Bay Packers. Either one would have worked. What I said there. Next week, next game, hey, we'll see what happens. Hopefully the Birds can come out on top to start off the postseason at a high rate. That's all for me. And as always, go Birds! Have a good week, everybody. And let's see what the Birds can do in the postseason. Let's go, Birds!